In this video, we're going to be going through the best and worst of my Roman Szmal collection, and here they all are. No, I'm just joking. This is a brochure that I have of all the Aquarius colors. I don't own all of these. I have about 8 that I love so much, and about 4 that I just don't like. And I just want to say, quality-wise, only one of them is just not to my liking in terms of how it works. The rest are just aesthetic things, but we will get to that. Okay, now, I thought maybe you guys might want to see this fun little mini art haul that I got for $17. I promise I'll keep this quick because I know you're not here for this. But this is what $17.19 buys you at Wartsman's, which is a local art store here in Toronto, where I live. And I just love to give them support because they're the only people that carry Roman Szmal actually in all of Canada. So if you're Canadian, you'll want to buy from them online. They ship all over Canada. Okay, I got these cute little stickers for free. I went there in person. I got this brochure, which was fun. It lets me live out all my Roman Szmal fantasies of owning all of these, which I am not intending to do, but it is fun to look at all of them and now to have the reference of everything I might need. I got this Talon's Art Creation sketchbook in the color Pastel Violet. It was on sale, so I paid like $10 and a bit for this. And then this little Roman Szmal, which is Cypress Burnt Umber Deep, which we won't be trying today, so because I don't know if I like it or not. I think I'll like it. That's why I got it. And then for $3 and change, I got this Pigma sketch brush, which is like a micron, but this has got the brush tip, and I penned everything in this, so we're going to see how waterproof this is today as well. So we'll be testing that out. Okay, let's get on with it. So for these swatches, I'll be using my Arches paper, and if you see my more recent video where I swatch everything, the reason I'm using this is because I'm actually kind of trying to get rid of it because it smells bad when it's wet, so I only paint outdoors. I'm in a city, so forgive me in advance for ambient sounds that you might hear. It's also early in the morning, it's rush hour, so hopefully it's not too bad. Okay, as ever, size 10 Winsor Newton round brush. I'm gonna spray these off. I own this Urban Sketch palette. Gonna give this a spritz. Here's a random selection of my favorites that I handpicked in my Altoids, and some of the ones I don't like are in here too, so we'll check those out. All right, let's get to swatching. So my first favorite is Indigo. I think it's such a pretty blue. Sometimes when ultramarine is the more obvious pick, I like to pick this Indigo instead. It's just romantic, subtle, fun. Just has a very luxurious look to me. So I'm using my Swedish dishcloth, which is what I use instead of paper towel. And I'm going to try and make this quite wet and quite big because I would love for them to touch. I want to get some good color down there. I don't know. Indigo's gorgeous. This is so pretty. Now, my number one. Let me wash this out well. If there's only one you're curious about and you're like, should I get it? Just get it. And that's this buff titanium. I know it doesn't look like much, but when it dries, it has this beautiful old world kind of watercolor, sorry, not watercolor, oil painting look that you just can't get from any other color that I've seen. It's so rich. It's so elegant. And it's so interesting. It's just an interesting color to look at. Add a bit more water here. I know this isn't the traditional way you paint, but because I want to swatch and I want them to bleed into each other, having to make them a little extra wet than I normally would. So this is turquoise, another favorite. But I have to admit, there are not that many things that are turquoise. So while I have this and I love it, I have quite a bit left, you can see there, and that's because I just don't use it. Like how many things are turquoise, you know? It's like when I want to use inventive color, I'll reach for this. But otherwise, I don't know, I do like a lot of botanical, a lot of flowers, a lot of nature journaling. Not that many things in nature around me anyway are turquoise. Maybe if I lived in the Caribbean, I would have more beautiful turquoise things, like the sea, to paint. Next up is Aquarius green, which I think is kind of my platonic ideal for a green. It's very, very versatile. It looks a lot like Hooker's green. Like if I didn't know that this was Aquarius green, I would think it's Hooker's green. But I could be wrong. Listen, I am a confident beginner. I do not pretend to be an expert in everything Roman Szmal. But having used them both, I have both in my collection, I feel that the Aquarius green is slightly more versatile. But I don't think you can go wrong owning both of them. If you're like me and you do anything nature-based, natural, leaves, trees, you can use green a lot. So I don't think you're at any risk of having too many different greens. My all-time favorite, I would say, next to the buff titanium, like if I could only have two, I would pick the buff titanium and I would pick this beautiful magenta. To me, it's just perfect for flowers. It's the exact color of magnolia. So if you're someone who paints magnolia for any reason, this is an ideal color. And it's very pigmented, very beautiful. This Arches paper is such a dream to swatch on. It smells bad. Let's pick up some colors, see what happens. That looks nice. It smells bad, but my goodness, does it ever take water? Oh, like a champ. Let's put in here Shadow Violet. Shadow Violet is another one that comes from my Mini Urban Sketchers palette. And it's this one here. And it's great for painting, you guessed it, shadows, although I kind of prefer Payne's Gray for shadows, but this is nice as well. It's very moody, very evocative, subtle. I don't know, kind of run out of adjectives to describe it. Quite sophisticated. I actually want to go back in and see what happens if I darken up a tiny bit here to show you and get such a depth and range with this one. It's so beautiful. But that said, I do find I reach for the Payne's Gray more. So if I had to pick between the Shadow Violet and the Payne's Gray, Shadow Violet is a much more interesting color. Payne's Gray is a much more, to my mind, accurate color of how shadows look. This is kind of a stylized color of a shadow. There's nothing wrong with that. Cobalt Sea Blue. Isn't this interesting? This is playful. I don't want to say childish. It's not childish, but it's got that primary look that I associate with like fun markers and crayons. Excuse us, we've got a plane now overhead. It is Friday as I film this. So Friday's a big day for flights, business people, travelers, vacationers, people going to bachelorette and bachelor parties, I guess. Takes all kinds. Cobalt Sea Blue, right. If only, if I lived in the Caribbean and I was painting the sea, I'd have turquoise and cobalt sea blue. I'm in Canada, so I'm by a lake. And I'll tell you, the water doesn't look like either of these. It probably looks more like this Shadow Violet or this indigo. Not that I'm painting the lake with any regularity either. Cherry Quinacridone Red. If you paint sakura, cherry blossoms, get this one. Watch this. It's the exact color. Roman Szmal really nailed it. I just love this idea, and I've said this on a much older video of mine. I love this like romance factor of buying from a living paint maker. Like Roman Szmal is a man. He owns the business still. And he makes these paints in Poland for us. And here I am in Canada painting with one of them. Like, do you know how hard it must be to have a paint company in the year 2025 that you started with your name on it? Like, and you're in Poland, which is, you know, a smaller country. I think that's incredible, and I'm happy to support him and the wonderful paints he has blessed us with. There's no other way to put it. Let me lift a little bit. These are my favorites. My goodness. If you're thinking about getting any of these, well, this is what they look like. They're beautiful. So pigmented. So alive. Alive. This is the beauty of watercolor. So thank you to Roman Szmal for making these amazing colors. I love them. Let's move on to the ones I don't like. You know what? I'm gonna grab a coffee. Be right back. Okay, I zipped through that ultra quickly just because I think I have this funny feeling that maybe what you're here to see is the ones that are not so great. But, and I noticed also I kind of cut off a little bit maybe of the turquoise where I was painting, so I apologize for that, but let's have a nice closer look now. It's a bit more dry. I did go and make myself a coffee. So now we are all set up for segment 2. This is how it looks like as it is drying. You can see how the blends and the bleeds are working together. Hopefully this gives you some insight into why I love these so much. The magenta for me is just an ideal. And the indigo and the magenta look really nice with each other, and the shadow violet, actually these three here are quite beautiful together if you isolate them. And so are these actually. There's a lot of beautiful combinations here. Right, so I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna go into the ones I don't like as much. And well, let's get on with it. Oh, and yes, I think I told you this earlier. I hand wrote with my not so great brush lettering skills using that Sakura brush pen, which is definitely waterproof. Look at that, it is like bulletproof level waterproof. So that's great. Okay. Here we are. We're gonna see my uncooperative child, the Van Dyke Brown that refuses to drink water. It's this one here. All of these, okay, wait, let me show you. So I just spritzed the heck out of this, and you'll see that quite all of them have picked up some water, right? It pooled in there, yes? The Van Dyke Brown is like impervious to water. It doesn't soften, it just absorbs it and it doesn't release it. So if you own Van Dyke Brown by Roman Szmal, what I want to know is it just me? Or is it this one that I got? Maybe it's a batch. You know, I bet you that you're doing these in smaller batches, although perhaps not at this point. I've had nothing but trouble with this particular half pan. And it's a shame because I love this. And in fact, the whole reason I tried a different brown, the one that we saw earlier that I just purchased, the Cypress. Yeah, Cypress Burnt Umber Deep. The whole reason I got that was, in fact, because I just want to see, it looks like the same color as this, but I'm hoping it'll have better qualities in that it'll be easier to use. Look how beautiful it is though, but my goodness, you ever have to work it. I will be dipping in here each time, and you see how it just immediately dries, right? I didn't have this same technique. This whole situation here did not happen with any of these. They just lay down quickly, beautifully, richly. This feels stingy when I'm trying to do it. It just feels like I'm working it against its will. This is the only Roman Szmal I've ever had that is kind of like this. You know, if I want it, it's just like, gotta work for it now. Oh, drop some more water in there, Helen. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that, but it doesn't really change it that much, but that is better. That is better. That's more than I would have got. But you see, it just has this really interesting, difficult nature. Yes, it's my problem child watercolor. It's ridiculous. Okay, I'm making these circles quite big. This is a very unusual swatch, isn't it? Okay, let's lift. Oh my gosh, airplanes galore. I do apologize. Like I said, it is peak rush hour for the planes as well. Sap green. Yeah, sap green, my goodness. Let's come a little closer and look at the sap green of it all, huh? Okay. Let's get this a bit more centered, straighten you guys out a bit more. If you don't know me, by the way, I'm Helen. I am a longtime YouTuber. This art channel is a bit newer. I have another channel that's just called Helen Avery. So this is Helen Avery Media Channel is the name of it right now. Who knows, in the future I might change that name. And the other one's just called Helen Avery. And I do like vlogs and product reviews. So if you want to hang out with me more, maybe see around my house or whatever, come hang out with me over there. Always posting videos there. So that's my OG channel. It's got more subscribers than this one. Now, who knows, the tables could turn. Helen in editing here. I completely forgot to mention why I don't like this sap green. It's really simple. I just find it too neon, too bright, and it doesn't really look like any leaves that I'm ever painting. So that's why I don't like this one. Winsor Newton's Cotman sap green is so much prettier by comparison. And I do art. So when I am vlogging, I'm often making art, so you can see what I actually make when I'm just doodling around and having fun. I also embroider. That's the other thing I do. I wish this was a more water holding brush, and that's on me. Let's lift a little bit, see what happens. Oh, we're making a bit of a mess, huh? Splattering water. Let me just dab that off. This is just like paper towel. It's not quite as good as paper towel, but you know, it's like 80% of what a paper towel would do, and that's good enough for me. All right, let's move the view back out. The ultramarine violet, there's nothing wrong. If this is the only violet you ever had, you might not notice, but it's quite light, too delicate, too lacking. You see? Like the pigment strength is just, it's not there, it's faint. Which, you know, that I'm sure has its purposes too, but I'm going to show you why I don't use this one that much. I do use it, but it's just not one of my favorites. This to me is like not, well, I don't want to say anything bad about Roman Szmal paints because I think they're fabulous, but there's a better one. There's a better one that's more affordable, and I would be remiss not to tell you about that. Let's add a bit of water here. Let's try a lift on top of this writing. Yeah, that ink is gorgeous, bulletproof. Okay, so instead of getting this ultramarine violet, I'm going to suggest that you support Rosa Gallery, a Ukrainian paint maker. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I have said before that they, look at that, look how pigmented that is. They are a Ukrainian watercolor maker. And I think for reasons that I probably don't have to get into, you'll understand why I think it's nice to support them right now. Look at how much you get with just a tiny dip of the brush. You just get so much more potency. If you buy this, you'll probably have it for I don't know how long. I don't know. Goes down like a dream. You can get it lighter too, you know, obviously dilute it. So that's, my friends, why I think you should get Rosa's Violet instead of ultramarine violet. This, it's weak. It's weak. This is very strong. So I guess I'm lying. Like Van Dyke Brown for me is a bit of a problem child, and the ultramarine violet is just, hasn't got any oomph in it, you know. This color, this is on me. There's nothing wrong with this color. I just think it's not nice looking, and that's the golden orange. It's just, it reminds me of an ugly crayon color. I don't know what else to say. It's, to me, garish. I can't think of anything, maybe an orange, I guess. It does look kind of like an orange, but like a child's version of coloring in orange. I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of good uses, but if I do want to use this, I think my best idea would be to mix it with something else to get more subtlety, to get less of a sort of crayonish orange. It's just not to my liking. I just wish it had more depth or more sophistication or whatever, and that's on me. It's because I bought it online. I never saw a swatch in person or anything like that. I didn't have this little brochure. Let's look where the orange is and see maybe what I would have liked better. Okay, so it's golden orange, so it's this one here, 353. I might have been better off with something like a brilliant orange. Maybe even the cadmium orange might have been nice. And look at that. It doesn't, to me, look that much like this. This looks more yellow. This looks more orange. So it actually looks nicer on this swatch. In fact, this golden orange looks like deep orange to me. But I know that it's not. Interesting. All right. So that concludes our look at all of Roman Szmal's best and worst that I own in my collection. Yeah, to me, these are just, The Van Dyke is beautiful, though. But my goodness, what a pain to get that down. Love. Okay, I hope that that was fun, useful, entertaining. I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of thing, this kind of swatching video. I will make more of them if that's the case. I always appreciate that you've chosen to spend your time here with me, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.